Traders, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about AMC. I'm going to go over the exact options that I currently have on AMC, where I see it going this week, where I see the price action taking us, and just how high I think the stock can go in the next few days. Now, I'm also going to cover a few other stocks that I think have potential to run this week, but the main focus of this video will be AMC. So let's like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Let's get to it.
I got no drip in my pocket. Must have forgot it, or maybe I already.
All right, so let's jump right into AMC. This is the chart. I'm not going to be doing too much stuff on the OBV. We've already gone over that. The on-balance volume, it is getting a breakout to the upside. I expect some sideways action on the 4-hour time frame, but ultimately, I think it's going to lead us to a bullish perspective back towards the $50 range and eventually getting us a push, hopefully, by January. But what do we have going on right now? Right now, you have a flag occurring. One, that's one thing to know, or more of a pennant, I guess you will, a descending type wedge, which is a bullish pattern if you want to be one of those pattern type people. You're also mounting that VWAP, holding it 3 ticks on top. You'll love to see that. Unless you open up tomorrow morning below VWAP and hold below, which I don't think will happen, I'm extremely bullish on AMC the first few days of the week. Now, we probably slow down like we usually do around Thursday and Friday, but what I suspect is we're going to get a strong bounce. I have my alert already set because that's when I'm going to start watching like a madman, is once we break 34.5. And then from this range right here, I think the possibility of, if we mount this range to push back towards 37, 36.9 is extremely high. Now, you're going to watch for that potential double top. However, I want to make this very clear. I do not suspect that we double top and come straight back down. I do not think that that is going to happen. But now, could we consolidate in that range? Could we slow down once we get to that top? It's pretty likely. Like I said, I don't see crazy amounts of options or reasons to make us fly this week or the coming 2 weeks, give or take. But I see the logic for us to start pushing back up slowly and grinding back up. You know, this is what we talked about from earnings, right? We expected a little bit of downside, not necessarily this low of a downside, but more downside and then a slow, gradual grind back to the upside. Now, I don't think this has been too slow as of right now, but a $5 move over the course of, 2 days, that's pretty great. Now, I really love what I'm seeing, but you're getting that just grind back up. I suspect we come back down a little bit, then we start coming back up. And ultimately, we want to see 41 to 42, and then after 41 to 42, it's going to be that $52 retest. That's the big area we got to watch up here, the $52 range. But I suspect that's going to take a little bit longer, maybe beginning of September. Could we get momentum going to the end of August? It's possible, but it's more likely it's going to be in September when that happens. So just to reiterate before we hop out of the chart on AMC, I suspect you hold this range. If not, maybe, just maybe, you gap down and come right back up from that weekly. But I want you to hold this range at open, start pushing back up, and I think you get a quick push back above 34.5, and you start making a move towards 37 this week. I think, and I do believe, you'll get a push towards 36.5 to 37 this week. I think it's a very bold statement. I could be wrong. I'll always update people on my Twitter. The link is down below if I get out of my positions. But as of right now, I have options, I think, for $35 strikes going into this coming up Friday. I love them. I think you're in a very good position to get in the money very quickly going into the beginning of this week. I think there's high potential payout on those as well. All right, so if you've been listening to the live streams, if you've been on Twitter and things like that. Now, I also want to address, if you're watching the live streams, most of the time those get demonetized because I play music and it's not really about the money. It's more just to hang out and chill. So I want people to know, if you ever see me go live, chances are you're going to have to watch me live to get that live content. It will not save on my channel due to the demonetization type rules. So what you're getting here is a huge breakout, and this is something that I was talking about almost all Friday, and we played this Thursday as well, getting that pump, and then we sold and got back in. So what I love that you're doing is you're holding the VWAP all day long, and then you're getting a breakout of this all-time high range. You're pushing above it. And then at the close on the after hours, you were about 48.7, like right here. So you were already even higher going into the after hours. Now, it's worth mentioning, they got approved for the third vaccine shot for the boosters, things like that. You have all these countries buying more Pfizer shots. The vaccine shot is going to be in demand. The way that the news is portraying the vaccine, the way that everyone's talking about Pfizer and Moderna, these are hot stocks. And if you look at Moderna, look at the run that it's already had. It had a gamma of type squeezes, you know what I mean? It had a lot of those options expiring, and you just saw straight lines. And in my opinion, I don't think you've really seen this from Pfizer. I get that you had a really nice push up at the beginning of last week, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think that there's a lot of options. If you go look at the options contracts that are expiring in the money this coming week at $50, it's an insane amount. This thing can make this thing go absolutely parabolic, pushing to 51, possibly even 52. Now, some people are asking me, when do I get in? When do I get in? Now, I can't tell people when to get in. I already have my options at $50 strikes for this coming Friday, and they're already doing very well. But I've been shedding light on this. I've been posting it on Twitter. That's why I really recommend people follow on Twitter, even if you're not subbed on Discord and things like that, because I always try to give free plays and give, upcoming potential plays to help people out no matter what. It's not just about, making money and things like that on my end from your guys' perspective. I love just helping people out in general. Now, when it comes to trading stocks, it's all about making money. I don't care about the company or how they feel or the overall trend. It's all about making money on the best plays possible. Okay, I want to talk about Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD. Now, I might get some flack for this, but I do believe that there is some potential going into Wednesday. You need to know that they have earnings going into Wednesday, I believe the 19th. The 19th is going to be a pretty big day. Now, the PFOF, the pay for order flow, that got removed. So they were trying to tax that or cancel that whole system out, and they just basically dropped the whole case on that. So that's really bullish for Robinhood, especially going into their earnings, because that's how they make all their money, right? Now, I suspect this gets a nice run up into earnings. I would suspect 58, maybe 59. You could run higher. I do think the stock is pretty manipulated, to be honest. As I've looked at it and watched it move, I'm like, has to be one of the more manipulated stocks. It looks really good. I don't see them missing earnings. I see their earnings being absolutely killer. I see their user count and their growth being out of this world. I can't see them giving out bad information, to be honest. I've thought of all the bad scenarios, but there's just not a bad scenario in which Robinhood comes out and reports bad earnings. Even though they're paying these fines, they're basically like slaps on the wrist. And when you look at the overall growth of the company and the growth of that specific sector, I think Robinhood shreds. If they start dipping Monday morning, it's probably going to be a buy for me. All right, the last one I want to talk about is going to be Target. And this is probably the best retail play there is. I like a few others. I like Gap. I like Five Below. I think there's Home Depot as well, but Home Depot is kind of in a different sector if you consider it a retail. I think Target's going to come out. They might have a little bit of downside. If they have downside, you should count your blessings. Target is going to perform. I think that their earnings are only going to get better as you look. They just are consistently killing earnings. They may have a dip, but if you look over the next few weeks, look at the uptrend that they always have. I mean, their dividends, it's beautiful. Typically, you see companies perform very poorly after dividends, and you'll see a little dip, but look at the just overall growth that you continue to see after all these earnings. And we're seeing everything reopening right now. Now, there probably is some, COVID fears, but also too, they're not having worker issues. So you're seeing across America, companies are having that issue with getting workers and maintaining staff. Target has already addressed that they are not. And then to kind of incentivize keeping these millennials working for them and the Gen Z type people, they're all also now offering to pay for most of the tuition for these workers as well. This is really big news, and they're creating a very good work culture. And if you learn anything when you're spending your time in school, when you're building a business and things like that, work culture is huge. And I believe Target's not only focusing on their retail customers, but also their overall retail, workers. They're focused on the whole system as a whole, and I love the direction Target's taking. I project they're going to have a really great earnings. This is one of the only plays I would even consider looking at holding through earnings, but it is going to have a high implied volatility when you're looking at everything going on there because there will be IV crush. However, I think they probably perform well going into earnings as well. So if they start taking a dip, I might grab 2 to 3 weeks out. I'm not going to lie. I think Target has room to go, but you need to be watching indexes because those could also be taking a turn for the worst. It's important to know what I'm going to go over next. Okay, so what we're looking at is the VIX, and this is going to be something really important that a lot of people might not be aware of. And I think people need to talk about it, and you're not going to hear too many people, especially on YouTube, talk about it, right? So the VIX is a volatility index of the S&P 500, essentially. That's the easiest way to describe it. Basically, when the VIX gets low, that typically means the S&P is peaking out or doing very well. But if you notice something, every time you come back down into this low 15 range, you're getting huge wicks back up. And if you look, this typically correlates with a pretty big dip on the S&P. So if the VIX starts to pump back up, the S&P will correlate and go to the downside. So this is basically the inverse. So I want people to be really cautious of what's going on right now in the market, because there's a high potential chance we start to see some type of retracement across the board, especially in these S&P stocks, Apple, FANG, things like that. They've all had crazy runs up, and you need to just be aware of that. So I most likely will be hedging with UVXY, which is an easy way to trade options on this. And if you look, UVXY has just been beaten up over the past year since we've had that overall COVID spike. But I'm loving where it's at. I see huge potential, and I think you could possibly get a push up to 27, which would be an absolute huge win. So that's something I'm looking at as a hedge overall. I'll also be posting some of these positions on Twitter, especially with UVXY, because I know people probably don't have that much knowledge about it, and I do want to help educate on that as well. All right, so that was a little bit longer of a video. Sorry to keep you for so long. Hopefully you got something out of that. I'm trying to provide more educational type content in these videos as well. Now, I'm very excited for AMC. One thing that could potentially bring this down is if you start getting a dump across the markets. Now, people will say that indexes have no effect on AMC. I would argue against that. There's been times where AMC has followed the indexes down into the trash can, but anything could happen. Overall, the chart on AMC looks absolutely outstanding, and there's a few stocks that I do love, and I'll be updating those on Twitter all throughout the week. The link is down below, absolutely free. I'm always posting there about 10 to 20 tweets per day, whether it's stocks, joking, and things like that. I appreciate all the love, all the support. I love AMC. To the immune boys, namaste.
Go cop it, I'm about to take off like a rocket. Houston, we might have a problem with